Our next speaker is Janisset Rivero.
A PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if you can see it. It's working. Okay. Good afternoon. I thank you for inviting me. I apologize because I learned English as a second language, so bear with me and my English. I would like to share with you today our perspective on Cuba's civic resistance, a political and social phenomenon that is not well known and that needs more attention. This is a national movement with a growing number of members and activities, as you can see in the pictures. In 2006-2007, the number of opposition activities was 2,768, and in 2007-2008, this increased to 3,717 actions, as documented by the report Steps to Freedom. Steps to Freedom is a day-by-day accounting of opposition activities in Cuba done on a yearly basis. Let's take a look on repression during 2008 and the beginning of 2009. I'm going to try to be quick. There has been 1,900 documented arbitrary arrests, hundreds of house arrests that lasted for days, at least 93 activists sentenced in the last year by courts for political motives. A large percentage of these accused of the unbelievable pre-criminal social dangerousness, peligrosidad. The arrests were often accompanied by brutal beatings of the activists and raids on their homes, where even children, the elderly, were beaten, and also last week, 2 weeks ago, a pregnant woman. Beginning in October 2008, after the hurricanes that devastated the island, the regime has cracked down against the self-employed. Hundreds have been arrested, imprisoned, and fined. In 2009, there has been an increase in threats and arrests, mainly against youth, as part of a regime plan titled Operación Victoria, Operation Victory. Thousands of young people have been summoned to police stations or detained for interrogation. Why this had happened? The transfer of power to Raúl Castro is doubly legitimate. First, he was not elected in free and fair elections. Second, like the Somozas in Nicaragua and the Duvaliers in Haiti, there is a dynastic succession. The economy is in shambles and continues to worsen. The regime does not have concrete answers to meet the needs of the people. The regime fears popular discontent, the growth of the civic resistance movement, and its growing support among the general population. Let's take a look on resistance 2008-2009. During this period of time, consolidation of regional and national resistance organizations and alliances had happened. In the top picture, you can see one of the activities of the Eastern Democratic Alliance in the eastern provinces of Cuba. In the center pictures, you have Camagüey Union for Human Rights, and that is a march they did the last month of May, the 20th of May in Camagüey. Also, we have in the bottom the Central Opposition Coalition. This is an activity during the hunger strike that Antúnez and other activists carried out back in February this year. Also, we want to talk about the Council of Human Rights Rapporteurs on Cuba, which they work reporting human rights abuses, and the Rosa Parks Women's Movement for Civil Rights. Young Cubans are participating more in the struggle. Why they're doing this? They do not have an emotional attachment to the regime because of a generational divide. In the pictures, you can see many activities where young Cubans are participating. Also, they are frustrated with the limits placed on them by the regime. They want access to the internet, they want freedom to travel and academic freedom in the university. In short, they want to exercise their fundamental human rights. Some of the activities of the opposition are prayer vigils for freedom for political prisoners. You can see there in the pictures the ladies in white, and also a group of women that in the eastern provinces, they were black and they prayed for political prisoners' freedom. They distribute information on the streets and help those in need. There you have some examples of these activities in different cities of the country. They organize public activities on the streets. Here you have on the top left a picture of one of the marches for non-cooperation campaign. They commemorate historic dates and they organize conferences. And here are some pictures of these activities. What happened here? Yes, I know. Okay, let me see because I have to continue. Solidarity campaign, activities and pilgrimages carried out by young activists to commemorate historically significant dates in Cuban history or the struggle for democracy in other countries to raise consciousness among the youth and the population about democracy, pro-democracy movement in other countries. And there are some examples of this. Also, we have before the independent newsletters. Here are 6 of the independent newsletters that are produced in Cuba and distributed in, among the population. Also, we have alternative means of resistance beyond the ranks of the opposition movement. Here we have the group Porno para Ricardo. In Cuba, all the musicians are required to be part of the Ministry of Culture and be legalized by the government. The punk rock band Porno para Ricardo is one of the bands that have emerged in defiance of official recognition. That is the picture on the left. On the right, you have Joanny Sanchez, the internationally recognized Havana-based blogger that has opened a space of independent opinion and views of the Cuban reality. And in the bottom, you have Eliezer Avila. He is a student at the elite university in computer science with the aim of censorship the internet. He was asking critical questions at a university forum with the president of the National Assembly of People's Power, Ricardo Alarcón, in that picture. He was one of several students who confronted Alarcón with tough questions that he was unable to answer. The bloggers movement. What began as an attempt to have a personal voice transformed at first into a virtual civic movement, a movement only in the blogs, and finally at the end of 2008 into a physical civic movement that goes into the streets and into the hotels demanding their rights are respected. It could be defending punk rocker Gorky Aguila against a show trial or secretly recording officials denying them their access to internet at a hotel. Here you have Gorky and the trial. The rockers, as I mentioned, in August 2008, Gorky Aguila, which is pictured here, was taken to an arbitrary trial and was released due to the Bloggers International campaign. Porno para Ricardo, Barrio Adentro, La Babosa Azul are some of the groups that criticize the regime through their music. They organize underground concerts and scared government censors. I'm almost finishing. Coalescing into a stronger force. First, you have on the left the Independent Bloggers Summit, which has been organized for September 27th this year. In the past 6 months, we have seen increased communication and coordination among the bloggers, and they are planning this summer for September. The bloggers, which are part of civil society, are posting articles and notes of our opposition activities. And on the bottom, you have the article that was published in a blog when Ciro, one of the musicians from Porno para Ricardo, went to support Antúnez, a civic leader, in his home while he was doing a hunger strike. Change is in the minds of the Cuban people, in the opposition, in the families of political prisoners, in the leaders of the civic resistance, in the writers, in the bloggers, in the musicians. The resistance is leading the way to freedom. Here you have in the top the bloggers. Down you have some of the leaders of the opposition. I hope you keep this effort in your mind and in your heart. Thank you very much.